Alright, my review on Batman 1989. In this movie, I think they really combined a lot of the best elements from Batman history of comics, jam-packed into this movie from top to bottom. They had Bob Kane as a creative consultant in it. They had real comic book fans working on the script and meshing these characters all in together. The 40s style clothing gave it that Dick Tracy comic book style feel. With the combination of the dark, they really nailed the character of Gotham City, because that's a character on itself, as we know, with the gothic architecture from 70s Batman comics, along with the darker Batman from 1940s comics. Oh man, I don't know where to start on this. Let's just start with the concept of the script, okay? Let's start with Batman. So, Gotham City is becoming more decayed as it goes, as we know. And it really meets its boiling point at the beginning of this movie, because it's already done the introduction of the Batman. We have the goons in the opening scene, talking about how the Batman's been roughing up some people and he killed Johnny Gobbs recently. So, and then it's the combination of that and all the Harvey Dent being hired as the DA to clean up the city, but the crime bosses are still running the city. Yeah, just great. Let's just talk about Batman now. He's already starts off as Batman, so they don't have to do the origins because they're already doing the origins of the Joker. The goons are already like, no, he spent his whole life in young adult life training, shooting, and schooling and preparation for his career as Batman. So you see that down period for him to become adult and become a man. So then he already starts off as Batman. So he's well prepared for his career, as a detective, intellectually and strength-wise. But obviously Michael Keaton wasn't in that much shape to even pull off the Batman role. But no, he really did pull off the Batman role, the persona and everything. Obviously he's skinny. That's the only flaw that you could say about his Batman. But as Bruce Wayne, they give him a weird, oddball, quirky personality, but it's still in an intellectual way as his cover. And that's the way that they did it in the 40s comics book, where he is kind of clueless and careless and doesn't care much about more important things. Actually, he does in the comics. What am I saying? Unlike Nolan's Bruce Wayne, who's just a young, reckless, airhead playboy, which is not Bruce Wayne, we get a darker Batman that will do whatever it takes to get rid of the criminals in Gotham. Case in point, the opening scene and the legends of him already killing people. Commissioner Gordon is old and incompetent, just like in the beginning of the 1940s Bob Kane Batman. So they gave Joker his origins in this, and so he starts off as a psycho nutcase henchman for the crime boss Grissom, and it's great storytelling how they weave all these characters in together, and Grissom sees an opportunity to set up Jack to finally get rid of him, and he also knows that he's sleeping with his woman, obviously. And he sends Jack to, because Harvey Dent's closing in on his chemical toxic waste factory. It's a perfect tie-in that the crime boss owns the toxic waste factory where Joker has his incident and becomes the bleached psycho as we know. And the whole toxic power plant scene is just classic. Then the underground botched plastic surgery scene where it really captures the underground world of Gotham. It's just sets like that. The sets, it was all sets. This whole movie was a set, and they were just perfect. Really fit the Gotham City look. And anyway, like the comic book character that Joker is, he's completely transformed after he gets dropped in the chemical vat from Batman. He gets completely transformed into the supervillain, the Joker, and the toxins heighten his psychotic head until he completely loses his mind. I think that's essential to the character. It's not like how Nolan had his Joker just be inspired by Batman dressing up, so hey, he's gonna dress up. No, it was a traumatic, huge event that totally catapulted him into being completely out of his mind, and then heightened his sense of humor to have a wide range. He would quote poems in the movie and do 50s gags. They really blended the original concept of Joker in the 40s, that sinister, complete psychopath, mixed with the theatric of the 50s and 60s Joker, of the prankster Joker that we know. Nolan's Batman didn't have it. He didn't have theatrics, he didn't have the jokes, he didn't have the good writing. He just had the sinister look, which isn't the Joker. How can you be the Joker without the jokes? Plain and simple. Anyway, so yeah, the origins for that character is just essential in this. After killing his boss, that gives the Joker a gang of goons to take over and do his Joker antics. And what does he do? He ships the same toxics that effed him up, just like they make him use actual Joker weapons that he uses in the comic books, in the movie. They really get every point and every element of every character right in this movie. And the tie-in with him being Jack Napier and killing Batman, well, that's just a simple movie tactic, screenwriting tie-in to build up the rivalry between Batman and the Joker even more. So it is acceptable. Because think about it, he gets to get revenge because Batman has thought about this, has seen the Joker's face on every bully, and he thought he would never get redemption. So he does training to take it out on the Joker. And what does he do? Once he's in his prime, once he starts going in his career, he realizes Jack Napier is still alive. It's great. Joker's different attire, and this is great. How they give him different... Like, he has an orange shirt in this comic right here. And remember, he has the orange underneath shirt in the comic, in the movie. Anyway, you can't say enough about the Joker dialogue, and his vast random knowledge was just great. The whole him liking Vicky Vale thing was just a stupid love tie-in. That's one flaw with the movie. That's just to tie him in with Bruce Wayne so that they have a script convenience to meet up for their dialogue and for all the characters to clash in the movie. You see it in every movie. It's really nothing surprising. And then his quote at the dinner table when he's like talking Vicky Vale into becoming his photographer, when he's like, listen, we mustn't compare ourselves with other people. We are artists. And he goes on to tell her how he's the first fully functioning homicidal maniac. Just classic. I swear to God. You could just watch Jack Nicholson screen presence. And Jack doesn't get enough credit. They just say it's hardcore Jack. Well, no, I think he really pulled off the Joker character, as in his psychotic sense of humor in every different scene. It was all oddball. It wasn't the same sort of sense of humor. He had different tastes, like I was saying, and he really pulled it off. He pulled off the Jack Nicholson cool demeanor, like psycho in his head, but had it somewhat under control at that part of his life. And then he goes fully blown Joker crazy after he gets dropped in the vat of chemicals because of the toxins, what they did to his psycho brain. You know what that effect had on him, a comic book effect. And then he really transformed it into that persona, just classic. Can't say enough. A lot of people like to say it's just hardcore Jack. It's not just hardcore Jack. He did a really good acting job. what else do I have to say? They really, anyway, so yeah, they really build up the rivalry between the Joker and the Batman because it's the greatest rivalry between superhero and supervillain in comic books. They really build it up in a great way, a great structure of storytelling. Because Joker killed Bruce Wayne's parents, Joker is poisoning Gotham, Batman cracks his code, Batman turned him into the Joker, Joker made him become Batman. Also, Joker's crazy jealous that Batman is getting more attention than him. The Batmobile was one of the best looks. There's obviously been a bunch of different designs of the Batmobile throughout the years, and no one really hates this style of Batmobile. It's really great. It's not you could tell like it's like Nolan's Batmobile. You could tell it's just like a Hummer that was souped up in Hollywood. And you know what's stupid? They like drive it on rooftops in Batman Begins, but yet he put it in a realistic world. Okay, his movie's not even a comic book movie, so it's not even in the same class as this. So please, Nolanites, just stop listening to this review, please. And the Bat Glider, it actually looks like a bat, and give it some character and a comic book feel. Unlike The Dark Knight Rises, where it just looks like a Transformer, or something out of like Terminator 4 Salvation or something. Anyway, like I said, the Joker in The Dark Knight was lacking the theatrics that this Joker had. I mean, this was the real Joker, let's be honest. Overall, from top to bottom, greatest comic book movie ever made to this point. And that's saying something that was made in 1989 on a budget that was just done on set. It was no on locations. It was all in Pinewood Studios in England. And then they let Tim Burton do the sequel, obviously, because of the dark tone. You got to give credit for Tim Burton making Batman bringing back the real Batman, and not just. Obviously, the perception was with because for a long time, for a few decades, Batman in the comics was a complete joke. It was completely corny, completely made for kids after the Comic Code Authority came in and ruined it all in the 50s. Even the Joker, he ruined the Joker so bad that they did in the comic books. And really, it's like almost Batman could have been forgotten in pop culture. And then he was obviously revived in the 70s. They went back to his darker roots. And then they kind of went with and then the popularity of graphic novels like The Dark Knight Rises, but they didn't totally steal plot points because that's kind of set up in a realistic world. And there's a lot of they kind of humanize the characters in Frank Miller's graphic novels too much, and I don't like the direction that they took the characters and all that. I'm glad they didn't go that way. They kind of like blended the best of both worlds, like the look of like the 70s Gothic Batman look, Gotham City look, and with the 40s original concept of what Batman is. He's got a dark side. He'll do whatever it takes to. They say he kills in cold blood, meaning that he'll kill someone and have no remorse for it. Well, you gotta look. He's on a mission. I mean, it's like when he bombs like the place, the chemical plant, the toxic plant. I mean, they're like, Batman just straight up killed those guys right there. Well, those guys were gonna kill his citizens. Would you rather him bomb? It's like he would bomb it. He would do whatever it takes. I mean, it's like soldiers in war. They're killing terrorists or whatnot because they're doing whatever it takes. And then they go home. Then you people are all like, pamper all these soldiers for killing people because they're heroes. It's just that the city and the people don't understand that. Because they think, in this first movie, they think Batman's bad, obviously, like anyone would if there was a crazy vigilante coming out. So they went on with the sequel, Batman Returns, 1992, and another great step into that world that he expanded on it. Absolutely another amazing movie. And then after that movie came out, he even made it more darker than the original, 1989. He made the movie more darker, so it made less money. Then Warner Brothers got so butthurt that they didn't even they pretty much didn't even tell him to his face. I mean, Tim Burton wanted to like do a third Batman film, but they kind of like went behind his back and were just like, yeah, well, no, you're producer. And they gave it to Joel Schumacher to go in the gay, lighter tone. If we would have just got one more Tim Burton, Michael Keaton team up in that same world, priceless. Just if we could just go back and just have one more. But I'm not a Tim Burton fanboy. I mean, he screwed up Alice in Wonderland. I don't put him on a god pedestal. He didn't come up with all the concepts for the movie. He just directed it. But he deserves a lot of credit. But a lot of other people deserve credit. Ever since then, I mean, even Tim Burton, he's made Alice in Wonderland too dark. He took the colors out of that. So it was just a perfect storm of him coming and filming and reviving Batman for a modern generation of what real Batman really is. Killing people, doing whatever it takes, not giving us speeches here and there, struggling with his morality. That's not the real Batman, okay? He's got a dark persona. He's not this freaking guy who cares so much about everyone's life and do whatever it takes. Like, oh my God, I pretty much have said enough. I'm pretty much done now. Any other thoughts, I'll try and put them in notes. You could hate me now. Send your hater mail now. This was JBM, Mr. Creepshow 9.